their best. It's Friday here on The Story, and tonight, Portland's new city council is getting a crash course in the power it does and does not have, how a recent permit for the controversial Zenith Energy Terminal is involved, and what the council wants the mayor to do next. Plus, tens of thousands of OHSU patients could be in limbo as the hospital's contract with United Healthcare is set to expire at the end of this month. What both sides have to say about where negotiations stand right now. But first, our team here on The Story has obtained some feisty text messages between the Multnomah County Chair and Metro Council President, which include an accusation of a backdoor deal regarding where some of your tax money goes. It's our big story tonight. Let's just say the tension between Multnomah County and regional government Metro has been running hot, specifically when it comes to taxpayer money meant for homeless services. This week, our team filed a public records request asking for text messages between Metro Council President Lynn Peterson and Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega Pederson. We got those messages late last night, and they give us a behind-the-scenes look at communications between two of the most powerful local government leaders. And let's just say you could feel the frustrations with each other. But before we get to those texts, a little background and context so the messages make sense. On February 21st, so Friday, Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega Pederson held a news conference sounding the alarm that the county's Homeless Services Department is facing a budget shortfall of $104 million. The chair said if money didn't come in from the state, neighboring counties, and regional government Metro, 25% cuts could be coming to homeless programs.
This morning, I've sent letters to the state of Oregon and Metro requesting that they each provide more resources to prevent devastating cuts to life-saving and life-changing services. I do want to be clear that I'm asking for existing resources that have already been raised from taxpayer dollars and do not request any new taxes to be raised.
Chair Vega Pederson is blaming much of the budget gap on projections that the Supportive Housing Services Tax, or SHS, which Metro is responsible for collecting, will bring in far less money this year as opposed to last. That's money meant to address homelessness and revenue the county's Homeless Services Department depends on heavily to fund hundreds of nonprofits doing the frontline work on the streets. Now, we learned yesterday the SHS tax money funds nearly half of all homeless service programs in the metro region of Multnomah, Clackamas, and Washington counties. So a big deal. But when Chair Vega Pederson sent her letter to Metro Council President Lynn Peterson asking for help filling the budget gap, Pederson was apparently blindsided, according to these texts that we received. This is from the chair's cell phone. The message from Metro President Pederson came in at 3:16 in the afternoon on February 21st, less than 90 minutes after the chair's news conference ended. Metro President Pederson writing, "For the record, your call to me this week about your shortfall, you never mentioned an ask for or a letter. I am appalled that you called and did not specify. I have a lot of questions that will need to be answered about your request." Chair Vega Pederson never responded. Then, a week later, President Pederson sent another text, double texting here, to the chair saying that Metro's council would be creating an ordinance to change Metro's code, allowing them to work directly with the city of Portland on funding overnight shelters, which has been a focus since Portland Mayor Keith Wilson stepped into office. And this time, Chair Vega Pederson responded. And let's just say it got a little spicy. What the chair said is in blue here. She wrote, "While I appreciate the text, I am appalled by the backroom dealing you've had with the mayor about this. I found out from him this week that you had called him and offered the money to him directly without any engagement with myself, our attorneys, or the other counties. You've been hearing from myself and the other county chairs for almost a year about the forecasted deficits for SHS, and yet it took months to get any kind of scenarios on proposed change impacts. I will let our attorneys and our board know about this." Whoa, okay, so Chair Vega Pederson is not having it and apparently was not happy that Metro President Lynn Peterson allegedly offered Metro collected tax money to Portland Mayor Keith Wilson without her knowing. But Metro Council President says that is not what happened. She had told Chair Pederson about her meeting with the mayor. Chair Vega Pederson shot back, writing, "You did not mention that you reached out to him." The mayor has been clear that he has been making the rounds to fundraise, but clarified to me this week that in this case, you reached out to him. Now we're assuming here that that's a typo there, should be reached instead of rewatched. Okay, so lots of she said, he said here, and it gives us a look at how these governments are working together or not. So today, we asked Chair Vega Pederson and President Pederson to be on the show tonight. Both declined and sent statements instead. Chair Vega Pederson said, "It's no secret that conversations regarding revenue forecasting and our homeless services budget deficit have been tense because the stakes are so high for those who count on these critical services. It's still an open question of how Metro is going to partner with Multnomah and other counties in addressing the SHS shortfall that is having a real impact in what's happening in our communities." She went on saying, like Metro, our main concern is for the people in need of supportive housing services and the expectation of voters who approved this program to make homelessness rare and brief in our region. Don't worry, we paused too when we read "to make homelessness rare and brief in our region" because it has been anything but. Now, a spokesperson for Metro Council President Lynn Peterson told us today that Portland Mayor Keith Wilson came to the Metro Council in early February asking for support for his homelessness plan, perhaps part of his fundraising efforts that Chair Vega Pederson was talking about. The Metro spokesperson continued saying in part, "The Metro Council has been very public about finding ways to meet the public's expectations of a successful SHS program. This is the most important challenge in our region, and we have to get it right." And I also reached out to Mayor Keith Wilson's team since he's sort of the beneficiary among all of this political infighting. And they told us Mayor Wilson is deeply grateful for the collaboration and support of our partners at Metro, whose efforts are vital in helping cities address the crisis on our streets. Earlier this week, we told you how the Multnomah County Commission unanimously approved a resolution back on March 13th to direct $15 million of SHS money from Metro to the city of Portland instead of keeping it to lessen the county's budget gap. The move was coined as a symbol of the commitment between the county and the city when it comes to homelessness. And despite Chair Vega Pederson being appalled that Metro President Pederson talked with Mayor Wilson about the Metro money, she voted yes to send the money to the city anyway. But Metro's council still has to approve that. And Metro still has another $15 million of those dollars it could dish out, which could, and I stress could, still go to Multnomah County. And we'll be watching. All right, if you were able to follow all of that, your weekend is well deserved. So what is going through your mind after seeing those texts? And what's happened since? Did anything surprise you? Let us know. Email us at thestory@kgw.com or call and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090. Well, it has been just under 3 months since Portland's new form of government started operating fully, and the new city council is figuring out what they do and don't have power over. Now, one of the ways we're seeing this play out is in the debate over the expansion of the Zenith Energy Terminal in Northwest Portland. The project has a lot of opposition, including from some members of City Council, but their powers, or lack thereof, are being put on display. They tried a Hail Mary this week, voting to ask Portland Mayor Keith Wilson to investigate Zenith. Earlier this year, the city approved a land use compatibility statement for Zenith's terminal. That's where Zenith stores crude oil for shipment. It's part of the critical energy infrastructure hub, which is built on land that experts say will liquefy during a large earthquake, posing a major threat to the environment. The council held listening sessions on the permit back in January, and a lot of people opposed the permit, but the city approved it anyway, which upset several councilors. The city says it was an administrative duty They had to sign off as long as the proposal complied with land use regulations, and it was out of council's hands. And that's different than the old system of government. Back in 2021, Dan Ryan, who was also commissioner at the time, was able to order the permitting department to deny Zenith. But now, that's only up to the mayor. The city council isn't letting it go, though. And on Wednesday, they passed a resolution asking the mayor to investigate Zenith for any violations of their franchise agreement with the city, and if warranted, to cancel the agreement, meaning Zenith would not be able to operate within city limits. Councilor Mitch Green introduced the resolution.
Zenith Energy appears to have violated its franchise agreement by failing to remain in compliance with the laws, applicable state and local laws. For example, failing to disclose its unpermitted activities with the city and the DEQ, as well as violating local lobbying rules. So to restore the public trust, we must investigate this franchise agreement. The mayor alone has the authority and the duty to do this, and provide council with the options for remedy if that agreement is found to be in violation.
Zenith's permit was nullified last year when they expanded operations without telling the city. And now opponents are accusing them of backroom dealing with city staff to get it back. The resolution does not revoke the permit approval. Again, they don't have that power, but it directs Mayor Wilson to pause all current actions with Zenith while the investigation is underway. It also directs the city to disclose all communication between city staff and Zenith and asks the city auditor to investigate how the city handled Zenith's application. But again, the council doesn't have that power. It's just a request. But Mayor Wilson said he would comply.
I would honor your voice and set up an investigation. How that looks, I appreciate the conversation and I appreciate the spirited discourse. The one thing that I give pause to is defaulting to trust. It's our relationship is between council and the administration, which is manifested based on the mayor and the city administrator. I would prefer that the outline be clear to direct me to clearly determine where in the administration malfeasance, mistrust, misinformation may be found so we can find it and address it.
11 of the 12 city councilors approved the resolution. Only Steve Novick voted against it. He said the resolution went too far by implying that certain city staff members were, quote, liars. All right, coming up next on the story, you've sent us several emails about it, and so we're following up. OHSU and United Healthcare are nearing the end of their contract, which expires at the end of this month. If no deal is reached, some 74,000 patients will have to find new doctors or pay sky-high out-of-network costs. What's standing in the way of a new deal, and what we know so far when the story returns. Well, we're learning more about Multnomah County's new 24/7 sobering center in Southeast Portland, something the city hasn't had since 2019. Most notably, the timeline for the facility appears to have been pushed back. Last night, we showed you a community meeting in Portland's Central East Side where neighbors could learn more about the plan. The facility will be in a building along Southeast Grand Avenue across the street from a Goodwill. It will feature 50 beds and offer sobering, withdrawal management, and deflection services.
Ever since the sobering service shut down in 2019, there's definitely been a gap in that, and so it's been a priority for the county to get those up and going.
It'll be our hope that we can bring people to a place where they might get a glimpse at what sobriety looks like, so that they might be able to make better choices, better decisions, maybe get out of the life they're in.
That impacts my business, and I understand the needs of the people in our area and want our clients to also feel comfortable coming to my space.
The county is set to close on the building early next month. And the last we heard about an opening date was, quote, by 2026. But last night, we found out the opening has been pushed to 2027. In the meantime, 13 sobering beds are being added to the county's deflection center. That's it right there, which is also in the Central East Side. At the end of the month, so in about a week and a half, about 74,000 people in Oregon will be looking for a new doctor. That's if United Healthcare can't finalize an agreement with OHSU. Late this evening, we've learned there is a good faith agreement between the two, but the contract has not yet been finalized. Healthcare providers like OHSU have contracts with insurance providers. They agree to reimbursement rates the insurance company will pay for medical services. But United's contract with OHSU ends on March 31st. And if they don't figure out a new one come April 1st, OHSU's doctors will be out of network for patients with United insurance. So what does that mean for those patients? You can still go to your OHSU doctor, but it's going to cost you a lot more since they would be out of United's network. In fact, OHSU actually says patients might not even be able to stay in the hospital. If you're there on March 31st, they say on their website, they'll make sure you're stable, but come April 1st, United may ask you to find a hospital that's still in network. Or you can try and find a new doctor, which if you've looked for a new doctor in Oregon lately, especially a specialist, you know it's hard to get a new patient appointment. And if you do get one, it's likely months away. OHSU says you can ask United for continuity of care service, and you should do so by April 30th. But it's up to United whether they say yes or no. So our team spent the day on Wednesday trying to get both United and OHSU to do an interview with us. Both refused to go on camera. But we want to know the sticking points, stopping the two sides from reaching an agreement. Again, these issues were apparently holding them back before the good faith agreement we just learned about tonight. But here's what they told us. OHSU says operational and financial issues with United are disrupting care. They say United denies more than 56% of claims compared to an industry standard of 5 to 10%, and that it takes an average of 307 days, almost an entire year, to resolve claims. We asked United to respond to those claims, and they never got back to us. But they've got their own beef with the hospital, saying they're asking for, quote, unreasonable price hikes. They claim that if they agree to what OHSU wants, a C-section would cost $9,000 more than it does today. Outpatient surgery would cost $3,000 more, and an ER visit would cost $1,100 more. OHSU says they haven't reviewed the claims on cost and can't verify how United came up with those figures. But again, nothing has been finalized yet regarding the good faith agreement. The deadline is March 31st to get it done. And oftentimes, these talks go to the 11th hour. We'll keep you posted on any updates. Well, coming up next on The Story, the final story in our week-long damage control series. All this week, we've explored potential health problems stemming from chemical hair relaxers. And tonight, we look at solutions, what can be done, especially in the Black community. That's next when The Story returns. All this week, we've explored the conversation and legal fight over potential health threats linked to chemical hair straighteners. Tonight, we want to talk solutions. In the past decade, we've seen a number of hair products produced by Black women that are rooted in caring for and celebrating Black hair. Tonight, Morgan Young introduces us to one hair company whose founder says she welcomes accountability and transparency in her industry.
I do love the celebration of our crowns.
But if beauty is a matter of what we see,
A lot of times we forget that
Autumn Yarbrough wants women to look deeper.
the message needs to be focused more so on in the Black community about the inner health of hair and where it begins.
So in 2020, she launched New Standard, a beauty brand focused on a holistic approach to healthy hair.
The product that is the most important is our vitamins, the supplements. We have over 25 unique ingredients that we paid attention to. Collagen, it has your magnesium, vitamin D.
Ingredients that address the issues beneath the surface, like gut health and stress. New Standard also produces sustainable shampoo and conditioner bars and a HydraSilk bond system that is only available to professional stylists trained to use it.
I believe when you're a founder in products, I don't care what kind of product it is your responsibility and you must be accountable for the products you're making.
So she doesn't shy away from sharing why she has a passion for beauty and hair care.
I mean, you were on a box.
Yes, I was on the side of the box.
Yarbrough's mother, Renee Cottrell Brown, created the Just For Me relaxer system in the early 90s. And her grandfather, Comer Cottrell Jr., created Proline, one of the first Black-owned hair care lines made for Black consumers.
I had an opportunity to learn a lot about the hair care industries, particularly the Black hair care industry. Belonging in the Black community, and then young Black girls belonging, Black women belonging. All of those things had been missed, especially during that time. And it was championed to have something called what it was, Just For Me.
We saw, that inclusivity in that space and, kind of reconciling that with the fact that there are now women who may have used that products that believe that they may have been dangerous.
Yes.
How do you feel about, just the conversation and questioning in the industry right now?
I'm actually happy for the conversation. I'm happy that we are talking about products and holding all parties accountable. I do believe founders need to be held accountable, but they're not alone. It's important for retailers to be accountable. It's important for the manufacturers because most founders don't have their own manufacturing facility.
Yarbrough says Black hair founders in the 60s and 70s worked heavily with the FDA to create their products.
A lot of the products, unfortunately, that were on shelf, those were approved back then by the FDA.
But many of the brands and manufacturers behind hair relaxer products specifically are being sued by thousands of women who say the products harmed them. Yarbrough's family hasn't owned the product line it founded in nearly 25 years.
It took, 20, 30, 40 years to finally discover that there are certain ingredients that are deadly and possibly harmful, and that is a problem.
Does that motivate you to say, this is what's in my products, this is what we're doing, here's my transparency page?
Absolutely. I mean, before this even came up, it was an issue.
Yeah.
It's an issue in all products. It's an issue in every product that's made.
So now, one of the pillars of her company's creative process is research and development, or R&D.
Even if today it says it's safe, we're still doing the R&D to make sure it's safe for 10 years from now.
Building on her family's legacy while offering transparency and a deeper definition of beauty. Setting a new standard.
If you missed any of our other damage control segments this week on The Story, you're in luck, because tonight at 8 o'clock we'll be airing a special roundup of each story, including some that we didn't have time for on TV. And that's over on our TV app, KGW+, which you can download right now on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. Again, that damage control special report airs on KGW+ tonight at 8 o'clock. Well, that is the end of our show, folks. Thanks so much for watching. Timbers 360 is coming your way next. And don't forget, everyone has a story to tell. Have a great weekend. Spring break is next week, so if you're heading out of town, safe travels. And remember, you can watch a live stream of our show on the KGW YouTube page from wherever you are each weeknight. We'll see you then, Monday night at 6:30.